time. Go ahead.
All right, Joe Fontechia here. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night. That concludes our program. Oh, no, wait, that was too fast. So, listen, what I was talking about is that many of our students have asked to say, well, gee, I've got an easy version, but how do I make it sound a little better? How do I do it? And I don't want to look at all these extra notes. What can I do? So, what this class is about is taking an easy, intermediate, and advanced for each of these songs. And I only have two, and I've took the easiest songs in our book. So, I'm just going to start off by playing a number just to get myself loose and then we'll get into each of the songs, okay? All right, give you a little Dixieland version there. I did a lot of extra notes, a lot of things I played between the two keyboards, and I did some of the features that I'm going to be talking about with you today. Now, Sean, can you put up that first number for us?
You
And
know
this
what? I
is
certainly can do that. Yes.
number one. And actually, I'm going to use a song that is about our third or fourth song that we teach you. And the reason I'm using it is because it's a good way of practicing to learn how to add extra notes. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the easy button, and I'm just going to put on a nice little organ sound without anything else. And I'm going to play it the way most people would play it when they get the song for the first time. So here's the chord system, here's the melody. Well, I don't know about you, but I would probably fall asleep before I finish that because that's just the way we start. We play, we hold the notes down. This is the way the music says. But if you look at the music now, you'll see that there's a dot below each of the notes that I have there. And with each of those notes there that I have, those mean that we're going to play it staccato. I'm just going to use one finger and I'm going to play that note. Just like that. Notice I'm not holding anything. I'm just hitting the notes. Pretty cool. So now watch, I am going to add our rhythm, and the rhythm I'm using is a Dixieland rhythm. I'm going to slow it up because it is with the tempo I was playing. I don't have to play it too fast, so I'm going to put it a little bit slower like this, maybe even slower. So if we want to mark down, it's going to be a Dixieland arrangement, but put it at a tempo maybe between 125 to about 160. And usually that's going to be in the sheet that you're going to get sent to you. Now watch what happens when I play the song now with me playing staccato, and I just hit the C chord. Listen what a difference it sounds. What a difference between the first time. I'm playing actually the same chord, saying the same notes, but I played it how? Staccato. Staccato, because I want to hear the background that's behind there, okay? So it's pretty cool. That's what we would call the simplest arrangement to have you play as a real beginner. Now let's look at the song number 2, which is the same song. And we'll put that up, okay? Song number 2, which is When the Saints Come Marching In. We got it up there? Okay. Now, if you notice it, there's something above the second measure, which it says FX, or it will be a fill-in. That means that instead of me just sitting there, I could then put the fill-in. For those of you who want to know about fill-in, you have a button that says fill. You have a lever by your right foot and the expression pedal, which if you push it to the right, will do the fill. You also, some of you may have a touch bar, which you can do the fill or FX. And then there are some features where we can put the fill in, which is pretty cool, in the pedal, so we don't have to move our hands. Same song. This time I'm going to put the fill in or FX. Now I put it in quite a bit. You might not want to put that many in. So I'm just saying it's just a matter of your taste. Pretty cool, isn't that? So I put the fill-ins in there, and it made me sound more professional, playing exactly the same way I did the first time. So practice that fill-in. Now, mark in if you want to. Notice somebody, I want to ask a question. Somebody might say, did you put an extra one in? I did. I put one in at the end. And that is something that we teach. Sometimes when I get to the end of the song, I will always put a fill-in and then hit the ending button. So that way it kind of coordinates everything. All right, any questions so far? Let me ask that. Has anybody got a hand up or hand down or throwing
I don't see any hands anywhere.
How we doing?
I'm not seeing any hands anywhere right now. Anybody
Okay.
have any hands? Nope, okay.
All right, let's go to the third version. This is really cool. And this one is doing, instead of the FX, we're going to do something called an echo. An echo means that when you play some notes, you're going to just repeat them an octave higher or an octave lower. And let's go back in time and say the late 50s and 60s and early 70s. If you all remember, there were a lot of singing groups. The Four Lads, the Four Freshmen, Four Seasons, the Platters. They all had a lead singer, and behind them was a group. And believe it or not, we were never really listening to what the group behind them was doing because they were usually dancing and doing movements and things. But what they were doing most of the time, when the singer would sing a lyric, they would repeat it in the background and enhance it. So that's what an echo is. So if you go and you get some of the Platters and Four Season music, listen to the background and you'll hear them repeating the words. For example, Ramblin' Rose, you can say Ramblin' Rose and then you repeat it, Ramblin' Rose. And that's the same thing. That's an echo. And the group in the back will do it for you. So an echo is perfect for when the Saints come marching in as a good example. So we're going to do the same thing again. This time I'm going to maybe put the intro in so that we have something to get us started. And again, if you have two different intros, you have a 1 or a 2. Sometimes I like number 2 because it's a little shorter. So let's listen to that, okay? So here is the third version with echoes. So there were your echoes. And you might have noticed that there was a couple of extra little notes I put in. We're going to cover that in our last song. Those were called turns, and we're going to get into that. But the main thing on this is an echo. So you can practice it this way. Don't have the melody, don't have the accompaniment. Just repeat the same notes and usually play it an octave higher. You can play it an octave lower, or if you have two keyboards, play it on the lower keyboard. I'm going to do it one more time, okay? So you guys can hear it. I'm going to do it with a larger introduction. Okay? Huh? What do you think of that? Isn't that pretty cool? That's just taking the third number that we teach you, fourth number, and you can really make it sound more professional with something called echoes. Everybody follow that? Any questions?
That's great. Let's see. I see no questions.
My goodness. My goodness.
I don't even see any confused looks. Everybody looks
Okay.
smarter now.
Well,
Wow.
listen, if you want to email me and you want to have a couple of other songs, you can email me. I'm at 5047 at Fletcher Music Centers. And if you want a list of songs, well, FletcherMusic.com. I got to make sure I say it right. 5047 at FletcherMusic.com and ask, and I will send you a list of maybe 5 to 10 different songs that you can practice the echo. Because there are really some cool songs that you can practice that are not hard so that you can add and maybe sound more professional. Okay? Now, the next way we're going to do it is we have another version, and this one I'm going to use a closer walk with thee. And again, I have an easy version, I have an intermediate version, and then I have an advanced version. And in this sequence, we're adding extra chords, adding extra notes to make it sound more professional. Now, what I'm going to use is, you want to mark it down, I'm going to use a slow, easy blues background. You can have many choices for playing this. You can play a slow gospel with it, even a slow Dixieland. But I like this because I used to, when I was traveling for all over, and when I was head back, I would always try to stop in New Orleans. And I wouldn't go to the main clubs. I'd always go on the side clubs to hear some of the old traditional Dixieland players. And I used to be there and listen to what they were doing. And they used to always play a lot of more bluesy, slow Dixieland stuff. And so we do have that. It's called Slow, Easy Blues. And it sounds something like this. pretty cool, pretty cool. Now that was just playing the easy version. Now to make it even better, if you've got MCS Plus, which is an additional chord thing for your left hand, put that on in blues and it really enhances it, so you don't have to really worry about that. The second thing I did in this, if you notice when there were notes that were held, I did do some fill-ins, and I did it in the first line of music under where I played the G, and then on the second line going into the third line, I did a fill-in again. And then I did it at the end of the first ending. And then I did it again at the ending when we got to the end of the song. So again, I'm taking what I did in that first song of When the Saints, and I did some fill-ins and FX in there too to enhance it. But that's the simple version. Wait till you see the next one. The next one is the intermediate version. See if we got that coming up here. Now, what happens in this intermediate version, we start adding extra chords. And this is where you get together with your PA and you can have them help you add these extra chords. We have on the second line, if you see on there, there's a D minor 7. Now, you really don't have to play D minor 7. You can play D. If everybody knows how to play the minor chord, the name of the chord is D, and you count up 1, 2, 3 notes, and that will be the D minor. Now, if you know how to do a seventh, you count from the name of the chord is D, you count down 1 or 2, and that gives you D7. So really, the way you learn a D minor seventh is you put a seventh chord together with a minor chord, and that will give you the D minor 7. If you have any trouble with that, too bad. I mean, no, call your PA and let them take care of you on that too. So that's what we added. Another thing that's really cool is when we add triplets. Triplets are faster notes, and if you see that on the third line, that's called triplet. And the way I teach it is just say it to yourself, triplet, and that's the way it goes, triplet. So that's the way you play it, triplet. So you don't have to, think about how hard that is. So let's hear how this version is. Same introduction, slow, and incidentally, if anybody wants to know the tempo, I'm only at the tempo is 90. So mark that down. 90 is the tempo. So here again, introduction. Oops. I hope you like that. That is cool. I love blues, and I did only the second ending. Again, if you saw some of the extra chords, we added a G minor in the third line. And again, on the version we did yesterday, these are all marked in for you, so don't worry about it if you can't figure it out. In the third line, I love this transition. You go from an F chord to an F sharp diminish. And that's playing F sharp and C. Now it says 7 on that, and if you know how to play full chords, then I would recommend playing the full F sharp diminished. But otherwise, all you have to do is play F sharp and C. Now you could play it C and F sharp, but I want you to hear how it sounds from when I play it with the way it should be, F to F sharp, and I'm. You hear that note modulate up. Now listen to how it sounds if I reverse it and I put the C to F sharp. Ah. See, whenever you see diminished chords, make sure that you put the name of the diminished chord on the bottom note. And you can hear how this harmony was different. It didn't modulate, we call it modulate, it didn't transition correctly into the next chord correctly. So always diminished chords, and I always say you can play it with your pinky finger or make sure it's the last note all the way to the left and then put the other notes on top. Okay, any questions on that? We had a lot of questions on that yesterday. Sean, anybody? No. Why?
No, I don't see anybody with questions.
Now, woo, well, I
We got
guess
such a smart group today.
I tell
I
you.
see Claire. Did you have a question, Claire? Might have to unmute yourself there. It should pop up on your screen.
Yes, thank you. To make it the F sharp diminished seventh, is that an E?
What's the question? It was
F sharp diminished 7. What are the notes from
Is it an
top,
E?
from bottom to top?
to first of all, the easy version is F sharp and C. If you
C,
want
yeah.
all the notes to play the full chord, it's F sharp, A, C, and E flat.
Oh,
F sharp,
but the
A,
F has to be at the
C,
bottom.
and E flat.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, but again, I recommend if you're going to play add the seventh, which is adding an extra note with the diminished, make sure you play all four notes. There's a reason for it. You'll lose some of the harmony sometimes. Diminished chords is kind of a way of getting up to a new chord. It's really a great chord. I could tell you diminished chords were used in silent movies. They used to have silent movies used all diminished chords, and I'll just give you that as an example. It sounded like this. Let's see if I can get you this. That's the way they used to use it for tension. And then for laughter, they used to use diminished chords in all the silent movies, and they would go up and down. When somebody was being shot or running or chasing, so in the silent movies, when they had the organist playing, that's what they used to use, diminished chords.
That's great trivia.
I love that. It was good. We had that one time where we had a silent movie and we had popcorn and Kool-Aid. And that was the worst thing we ever did in the store. We had to clean it for about a week to get all that out of the store because we ran a silent movie. It was terrible. It was terrible. But anyways, that's a way. Now the last version is called an advance. And again, this is adding a lot of notes. And why I'm trying to teach you this is that if you know what to do, you don't have to see this difficult version. If you know that you can add fill-ins, you can add extra notes, and we're going to get into that. There's a few things in this advanced version. Do we have that up yet?
Yep.
Okay, you can see playing this, there's a lot of extra chords, and there's a thing called grace notes in it. Grace notes is, we used to say we're making a mistake, and then we slide to the next note. So you play the note above it, and you slide into the note next to it. The grace note is in the second measure there. You'll see it. There's a little note, F sharp to G. And then we have something called turns. Turns is when you play the note and then you play the note back and forth. And I'll show you that in the last example. Grace notes are really, really cool. So I'm going to play the same song and we're going to play it. I'm going to skip the introduction on it. And I want you to hear how this sounds. And I'm going to put on, let me put on nostalgia with this so I can play Harry James with it. Let's see. So we're going to play Harry James with this. So here's this song, Just a Closer Walk with Thee, played from Harry James. Lot of
Wow.
extra notes. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions? There's a lot of things that happen in that arrangement. If you want to really practice that arrangement. There's a lot of extra chords. Any questions out there?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Go ahead, Sue.
Unmute yourself.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Sue.
What song setup? Is that in the song setup or is that a rhythm style list?
It's in song setup, just a closer walk. It
Oh,
is,
it
yes.
is? Oh, all right.
But
Okay,
watch your
thank you.
tempo on it. In other words,
What is the tempo on it?
the tempo on it was 90, 80 to 90.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you can do just a closer walk with an up tempo. You could do a Dixieland, but I like this version because I used to hear it in New Orleans quite a bit, and in the Dixieland bands they would love to have this in a slow little blues progression like that. And
Yeah, you
all
got a
right, we got
question
another one.
from Carolyn here. Go ahead.
Joe, you did the trumpet on the top keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you do for a better sound on the lower keyboard as it was in previous lessons?
Well, yes, you can because the range, but I use nostalgia setting in the category, and when I put it up, it gave me the Harry James trumpet on the upper keyboard, and I had to play it up here. Now you are right, because when you have any solo voices on your lower keyboard are perfect every time.
Okay.
So, but it's not the Harry James trumpet down there. It's just a regular trumpet.
Oh, really?
Yes.
On that
Unless you want to put it and pre-program it down there, you can do so, but then you got to save it in your USB and your banks because it won't stay there.
Right. Sean, would you bring up the music again, please?
Never again will I put up the music. Yeah, sure, I can do that here. No problem. Did you have a question on the music as well?
Yes, I do. Yes.
On the advanced
Okay, go
version?
On the advanced version. Okay.
Go ahead.
You have, let me see, for a review on the second, for second measure, you have a tie.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then you have in the same line, 1, 2, 3, third measure, again, you have a double line. And let me see, you have neutrals. Let me see. Would you just go over that a little bit, please?
Okay. There's a couple of things that are added on this. When you want to add a what we call a grace note, which is on the second measure, you'll see that F sharp to G. Right there, there's F sharp is upside down. I don't usually write that note in there. I put a little line just below. A little line will tell me that I'm going to put a grace note.
LX.
Now, you understand what I'm saying there? So I
Yes.
don't really
LX
want to write all those notes in there because it gets really cluttered and it looks too hard. So let me go to
That's in the back.
let's go to the where the D minor is, where you just have a D minor there with the F. It's on the second line. Do you see that? I would put a little line just below that F, and I would do a grace note. It would sound like this. See, I would just hit that. I don't want to write all, but that's why I wanted you to see this. This is how it would look as a difficult version. But if you know how to add these notes in, you don't have to write all those in. You would put the markings. So that's why I'm showing you that way. Like in the third line of music, there's a G minor. You'll see there's all kinds of grace notes there. That's that F sharp to E, D sharp to E, excuse me, D sharp to E, D sharp to E. Well, if you really look at the other version that I had, the easy version, if you get to that measure, there's nothing there. See, there's nothing on even the intermediate, but I could still play that intermediate version. See, I'm adding that little grace note in there. And a grace note is one that has no value. It just slides off. And actually, I do a lot of grace notes because if I make a mistake, I just slide into the right note. So that's a trick. I think I taught that. Joni taught me that, I think. Didn't you teach me that, Joni? You said if you make a mistake, just slide to the right note. She's laughing over here. So I hope that's helping a little bit. So you could see how many notes have been added. You don't need to do that. But you want to put a mark there where you want to put the grace note. I can't remember where to do that. So let's, Sean, can you go back to number 5 for me, the intermediate version of it?
Oh, sure, you betcha. Hold on just a second.
Yeah, just if you can. I want the.
There you go.
Okay, you got it?
Yep, it's on the screen.
Okay. Now, if you look at that, when I would go into the second measure and I wanted to go, see that F sharp, that G sharp there? Da. I'm going to go and I'm going to play that G sharp again. I'm just going to sound like this. Did you hear me play that G sharp? You see, if I wrote that in there, it looks too difficult. Now let's go all the way over to the D minor, the second line, the D. The high D with D minor. Now watch again. I'm going to do this. Now if we go and we look at the music, the advanced version, okay, put the advanced version on again. See, this is teaching you that you could do this without having this hard music to play. Now if you look at the second line again where that D, and there's that C sharp to D in there, you see? I wrote it all in there. Now, to me, this is difficult to play. I rather play the intermediate version and put those all in myself, you see? So that's a little trick there that we do. So you don't want to, I wanted you to see. So if you want to, this is really good. Put the intermediate section in front of you and the difficult, and then mark where some of those grace notes and extra notes in. Don't play the hard one, play the intermediate one, but add the extras. You got it? That's really the fun of it. Okay? Any other questions?
No.
I hope that's helping you. I'd have some fun with this. I got a nice email yesterday that said, I always have wondered how all you guys add all those extra notes. And they said, this is the first time that I've ever can see that I can really do it. I can do an echo, I can do a grace note, I can do a turn, and I can do that without having to practice all of that hard music. Okay? Now, the last one we're going to do, how are we doing on time? Oh, yeah, we're perfect. This one is for Melody of Love. Could you put it up for me, Sean?
There we go.
Okay, I gave you an exercise, which is, if it's in small print, if you want to blow it up on yourself, you can expand it. If you look, there is a scale. The notes are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay? Now you could do it with anything. Piano, trumpet, trombone, clarinet, oboe, violin, any sound. Now you want to practice doing this turn, and it would sound like this. And you want to practice that. Now, you do 2 fast notes and then hold the next one. 2 fast notes. Fast, fast, hold. Fast, fast, hold. Fast, fast, hold. And that's how you do it. Harry James was a master of that when he played. And he would play, and it would sound something like this. How do you like that? Now, in that little song, Melody of Love, I put in some of them, but some of them I marked it in with a little line in the note so that you can add it yourself. Okay, isn't that cool? So that is an exercise. So practice. If you have trouble, get with your PA, and they'll get you going and get you to do that. There are many, many songs. In fact, there's one called Beautiful, I think it's Beautiful Brown Eyes. That's one of our starter songs. That's another one you can learn. Take an easy song. Around the World is another good one for that. See, another one. So you can do that in many of those songs. They're really, really great. It'll make you sound really, really a lot better than just hitting the note. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that. Sean, I'm going to turn it over to you if you want to fill them in about some things that are happening. We've got a great, great concert coming up this weekend, something really, really different.
Yeah, and don't take off just yet, because Joe's going to play a song on our way out, and he's got something great ready for you. Carolyn, did you have one more question about the class here?
I do. Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Last song, would you please bring it back up on the screen?
Okie dokie. There you go.
A Melody of Love. Okay. Now, what you have done here is that.
Howard?
You're a little quiet. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
You're very quiet.
Well, I
You'll
did
have to
do it.
yell at us.
Well, on the screen, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, a little better.
Okay, I'll sit up closer. On the screen, what you have done, it looks like that you have done the fingering. And you have also done the lettering. Is that correct?
Yes, I kind of helped you out a little bit on that.
Well, I could see why because of the song, but you also have the glisses that you mentioned. Let's see, you've also had, what is on the 1, 2, 3rd line? You have a big E. E, is that meaning the E on the note?
Right,
Okay, and the D and E, I see you put that on also.
right.
Okay, now
I gave you some helper notes in there for those that still need the letter in the note on this particular one.
I can see why, because the fingering would be very important on there.
Yes, yeah, especially if you're going to do the turns.
On the turns. Okay, now when you did on the first line, 3rd measure, you have a 4 and a 5.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like a 4 and a 5 again. Is that correct? But you have an A as an alpha.
Just a 4. You play the same finger on the same note here.
Right.
4, 5.
Right.
4, 5.
Right.
4, 5,
Now,
4.
Yeah, you should go 4, 5, 4 there.
okay. Now
Yeah, that's an A 7th chord. That's why it looks like it. That's 4, 5, 4.
Oh, so that's an A 7th chord.
Right. And look, there's just a little squiggly in there that shouldn't be there. You
Okay,
are good. I like that.
Now
If you
let
can't
me
figure
ask
it out,
you.
you'll have to improvise.
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's 4, 5, 4.
Okay. Now what I want to know is on the 4, 5 in that same measure, when they're tied together, you did like a triple, not a triplet, but you did when you played it. Can you demonstrate that 3rd measure again? How you play it?
I were
Please.
talking about the A 7th chord.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So let's go.
Okay.
Okay.
You've answered my question. Thank you. You did a great.
Okay. You see what I'm talking about when we put in all these extra notes, how much harder it looks. if we were to take the third line of the song, since you mentioned it, I just put in a line there on over in the B, on that third line, second measure, the B there, I put that line there. So guess what that told me? I did exactly what was above in the measure above. You see what I'm talking about, everybody? You don't want to clutter it up with all these extra notes. So if you put a little line, that'll remind you to put those turn or a gliss. If I were to write in a gliss in there, they would look cluttered with about 10 notes. You see what that glissando is, sliding from here? If you had to write that in, it would look ridiculous. So we have tricks to be able to do these extra things, but don't write these notes in. Just remember it's up, hit the note, hit the one above it, and back. And you won't have to write those in. And it really works. So there's your exercise to practice, and there's how you do it, and there's a song to do it. Another good song is Around the World. Let's see. Somewhere My Love. It's another good one that you can use that in. It's beautiful to do the turns in that. And I guess I can't think of any other ones right now. Edelweiss, beautiful one to do.
And we have one last question. Lee Carter, did you have a question there? I see your hand is raised.
It's on the chat.
Oh, okay. Well, I will check that out. Otherwise, just a couple of announcements before Joe plays us out here. He's got something great in store for you. Couple things coming up. First of all, keep in mind this week, our Zoom musical, which is typically on Friday, it is on Sunday. We are having a gospel tribute by one of our talented musicians here. His name is Art Bishop, and he is going to play some great gospel music and hymns. That is going to be Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. if you're here in Arizona with me. But just keep that in mind. Sunday, don't miss it. He's got some really cool stuff in store, and some of you might never have seen this fella, and he's super talented. So that is on Sunday, not Friday. Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Here in Arizona. So don't miss that. I'm super excited about it. So you should be too. Otherwise, keep this in mind as well. It's not this week, but I think it's the following week, next week after next week, the 13th and 14th of October. Write those dates down, 13th and 14th. We are going to have both those days. We are going to have days full of events for you. Okay, so block those days out. Call out of work sick. Tell your boss you're sick that day, or call out of retirement, I should say. Call out of retirement and come on in that day to Zoom. And we have some cool stuff, 13th and 14th. They won't even tell me all the details yet, but block those days out. And keep in mind that week, we are going to postpone the classes because we want to make room for those two events. So no regular classes that week, our Wednesday or Thursday class, no classes that week, as well as the product feature classes. Those will be put to next week. So make sure Monday, Tuesday, that's a Tuesday, Wednesday, 13th and 14th. Call out of work that day or retirement. And we will see you here on Zoom. But we'll make some special announcements shortly about those, okay? So that's all I've got for now. I'm going to throw it back to Dr. Fontechia. No, Mr. Fontechia here, and he's going to play us a song as a finale.
All right. Well, thank you all for attending and putting up with this. I hope you use some of this. If you have any questions, please contact us. I'm going to do Fiddler on the Roof. I'm going to do it because I'm going to do some of the things that we just talked about. you.
Thank you, Joe.
Applause, thank you.
Good job, Joe.
Hope you like that.
Very much. We like it.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, great class.
Thank you, Joe.
Bring back memories.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it very much.
Good, thank you.
I'm retitling your program.